Sean, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate you making the journey down here. How are you today?
It was actually up here.
I actually thought it was sideways, to be honest, but yeah.
It's kind of like that way.
That way. How are you, mate, anyway?
Yeah, I'm really good. Got up nice and early in the morning and I thought, it was a beautiful day and really excited to share today. And got a few new things to share with you guys and just see how it goes, really.
I'm looking forward to it, mate. I've been really looking forward to speaking to you. So I know your background. I'm sure some people will know your background, but you started working, you were working with your family, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah.
And now you've built what you've built. So how did it start for you then? Where did it start?
So really, it was just I came from a family where my parents obviously didn't know a word of English and came over to the UK, started off working for other like restaurants and takeaways until they took the leap of faith and said, look, I'm going to set up my own because everyone else has did it so well. But back in the day, it was a lot easier to set up a business, in essence. Not to like double down on like their efforts, but I came from that background of this is just how it is really, because you don't know anything different. So they were like hard work grafting. I remember going to like the restaurants after school to literally hoover and like fold the napkins. And if you see like those old Chinese restaurants, we had to fold the napkins and put the chopsticks into like the sleeves and stuff. So I was handed that kind of duty. And then on the weekends, it was sort of like just helping like wash glasses, and there was a little office at the back. So it's like little box telly. It was probably like 10 inches, like that small, and then like the window is behind, so like the sun would just kind of glare on it, and you kind of like trying to get the right vision. But like, it was literally just kind of growing up with that kind of upbringing, and I had an older sister as well who. She's about 8 years older than me, so she was always working. So, and then later on, my brother and sister, so they're about 9 and 10 years younger than me. So it ended up me being kind of bringing them up and looking after them, whilst my parents were like busy running their business. So it was very, very like family orientated in a way, where I had to do a lot of chores. Yeah. Some people argue it was like slavery, really, child slavery. Yeah, it's literally like working in a restaurant, cleaning dishes, and at home I'll be like prepping food and like washing up, hoovering every day, and then it kind of instilled like how I am today. I do less of it now because obviously we've got like cleaners and stuff, but like it's still in my brain where these are responsibilities. Yeah, and unless you kind of train yourself up to it, you just kind of feel like you just take it for granted. Yeah, so
that's what I was going to say. My first question was, do you think it played a big part of sort of instilling hard work and stuff like that into you?
I think it did. I mean, I didn't know any different when I was younger. I thought, it's just how it is, really. Yeah. And then my cousins were like, oh, we don't do that. We just like revise and study and stuff. But I wasn't that good at exams and stuff, so I sort of used that as a distraction. I quite enjoy cooking as well, so like it was we had a thing where every day we would have dinner as a family around the table. Doesn't matter how busy they are, it would be like 4:30, 4 o'clock, have dinner, and then I'll go straight to work, and I'll just kind of carry on with the day, really. So definitely it has instilled like my practices now, and I think how you do anything is how you do everything. That's the saying that they say.
Definitely. And I know you obviously created you've done accountancy, created the accountancy business. What point was that then? Because obviously you're working in the restaurant, and I was pretty young. Yeah. When did you create the accountancy business? I think I need to.
So I went to uni as any other kid would at that time, where you didn't know what you were doing, kind of like, just do it for the sake of it. Didn't really think about the debt that you'd be taking over. And I got to my placement year where it was like, right, I need to find somewhere to work for a year and get that experience. So fortunately, after like loads of like applications and didn't get anywhere, my mum was like, right, why don't you work for our accountant that does our like books for the business? And then me being me, thought, I'll go in for an interview. I remember I went in with like a jumper with no tie with a shirt underneath, and it's kind of like, what are you wearing, kind of thing. And I didn't have a good impression from the start, but he was like, oh, just start on Monday. I was like, oh, okay, fine. Yeah. And literally from there on, so that was 2020 then. So I did the placement for a year. I was earning $1,000 a month on a salary, which at the time I thought was great. It served my needs. And then as soon as I got to the end of the year, I was like, oh crap, I've got to go back to uni now. And then he was like, no, come back and do like 2 days a week. So I had like a day off during the week, and then at the time, just come on a Saturday, and it was literally just me and my boss at the time, and no one else was in the office. And I think because I was willing to graft and be like, right, I need to learn everything, I'll go on that weekend. And he literally sat at the front where the reception sat, opening mail. So even though he's the boss of like 50 odd employees, like, I've seen someone that like, right, okay, he's doing everything in a way. And then he had really good discipline where he'll be in the office 5 in the morning, and he'll be the last one to go as well. So first one in, last one out. But he's the boss, so that's sort of, that was the next kind of disciplinary step where like I've learned from my parents, and now I'm learning from my next mentor essentially. And then about 2016 was when we had like a weird incident in the office where HMRC raided our office.
Oh God!
Like, I remember getting a call from a colleague. It was like, oh, we've got like 10 officers and like immigration officers and everyone like at the office. So not to say we were doing dodgy business, but like there were certain clients that obviously were in suspicious activity. So then it kind of like went to us as a practice, and then that was the turning point, because that was where my boss was like, right, I don't want to do any of these cases. And I was doing HMRC investigation cases at the time.
I heard you say that,
yeah, we had about 70 cases at the time, and it's sort of like I've gotten to know all these clients kind of like friends and family, and to be like, we're going to drop all your cases, even though you've paid the deposit and stuff, it's like, I didn't know how to break it to them. So I was like, right, I've had this like other company set up because I was getting commissions and stuff. I was like, right, I'm going to take these on myself, and then I just saw it through to the end. Some we did really well with cases where I didn't have to pay anything because they weren't guilty of anything, but then some had to go down bankruptcy route and stuff like that. So I followed through, and I think that was key as well, because certain clients from there, they respected that, and they started introducing other people to just use as a firm, as a practice, and then I jumped into property after that. So that was like another story that unraveled.
So were you still working for the guy at the time, or did you set up your own accountancy?
I set up my own by 2016.
By 2016, you set up.
And it was sort of a transition period, because I was technically still employed, but I was kind of doing like.
So you were helping these people that were in a rut, basically, in a bad way.
That's it. Yeah, I really couldn't like have it in my heart to be like, I'm gonna drop your pace, even though you've paid your deposit and stuff. Like we're dropping it. You got to find someone else, and like these people were on like a personal level where they would literally cry on the phone, because
it's a scary place to be.
And they came from similar backgrounds from my parents, where they've set up the restaurants and takeaways as sole traders or partnerships, and everything's not limited liability, it's personal liability. So you're talking to people that were losing their houses and stuff, and it kind of helped me kind of build my emotional resilience, because it's like, right, this is a business at the end of the day, and you've got to see it at the end as you might lose everything one day. Can you set up in the proper manner where you can save yourself and your family from all that stress? So that has also been a crucial experience that I can highlight in my life.
That's incredible, mate. So so at that point then, I imagine you built a bit of funds, because I know you spent quite a fair old bit on property education, didn't you? I think you spent about 30k or something.
It started off with like 20 odd. Well, it was all like £99 for like the first day, and I think it was 997. Yeah, 997 for 3 days. And then they literally did a sales pitch. Right, jump in this 2-year course for like 21 grand. I think it was 22. And then about 6 months after that, I found the next course. So okay, these guys sound like what they're talking about. Bit more up to date with the information, and it was like within a year we spent like 50 grand on like, and that also includes like networking and like booking hotels and traveling and stuff. Didn't have kids at the time, and I was a lot more free to like go around and stuff. So
it's clearly yielded you well though, mate, hasn't it? It's done your I imagine
on reflection, definitely. Because I think I wouldn't have met the great people I'm with now without that. And if you imagine you're in a box and you only know so many friends, then you're only going to be able to go to so many opportunities. So the more people you reach out, the better. Definitely.
And I heard you talk about on a podcast that one of your clients was involved in property, and you approached him.
Yeah.
Was that like a defining moment for you at all, or because obviously was it one of your clients? They were doing property. You approached him. What did you learn from him?
He literally
or her? I don't know. If
it was him, yeah. So Simon was in my is one of my cases as well, and he basically built a portfolio within 2002 to 2018. He bought like 10 houses down London, turned to HMOs, like mini HMOs as well. And I was like, how did you do it? Like, you've got to accumulate so many funds to like be able to do this. And he just taught me leverage. That was all it was.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I was for earn enough kind of income to buy one house, whether it's cash or with a mortgage, pay it down that mortgage, and just buy another one. And he said, no, you just got that wrong. Where if you've got like a 200 grand pot, for example, you can split that 50k into like 4 houses and just leverage, add value. Those are the key words he instilled in me. And then it's like, right, add value, refinance, and just go again.
Yeah. And how important at that time, I don't know if that's still running your trading business, but how important is a trading business, do you think, alongside property?
No, 100%. Yeah, we're still running, we're still operating, and you have to have some form of trading, because property isn't like get rich next day.
Yeah.
Even if you make cash flow the next month, that's still paying off what you put in at the very start. So to have a trading business, to even be like an emergency fund, because not every deal works out.
Yeah.
And I've told all my clients, I don't like, there's a lot of few people that are like, oh, I want to quit my job and stuff. I was like, right, if that enables you the time to do what you need to do, then great. But just make sure you've got like a pot in place to keep you going for the next 12 months.
Yeah. I'm really interested in that concept of like sort of fast pound and slow pound at the moment, and you need that fast pound, don't you? Like you say, property is super slow.
Yeah,
you need to make sure you've either got a trading business or some type of money that's coming in. But I imagine you learned quite a lot of transferable skills from your accountancy to your property. Is there any that sort of come to mind? This isn't tax advice, I know that, but is there any that sort of come to mind?
Yeah, like I've dealt with loads of different business owners, and it's not even just from the business front of like how to manage your cash flow and how to manage your taxes. It's also how to manage your family life as well. Because I've dealt with business people that I've noticed a pattern where they're super, super successful, but at home things are falling apart.
Yeah.
And I fell in that trap a few times where it's like, right, I just work, but then I've disregarded my wife at home, or like the kids all fall onto my wife because she's got all the responsibility. Yeah. So I do try and bring myself back. And yeah, I think the transfer of skills, not just running a business and how to run a team, manage staff, it is actually as a whole. And also, what are you doing at all four as well?
Yeah.
What's the end game? How do you plan to exit? Because properties you can pass down. They will need maintenance as you go on, but with a trading business, you've got staff to manage. It's not even just managing them; it's their livelihoods, it's their mortgages you're paying, their rent they're paying. So I can't just be like, right, I don't want to do business. Like a job, you can say, I want to quit today, but like a business, you've got to find that fallback strategy of who can you pass this down to, or is there someone in that team who's going to be the next person to take over? So it's these little things that I think about, to just kind of think about how to expand and not too far to the point where it's going to detriment other people's lives.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's a big responsibility. So I want to talk about like your first deal then, because I know some of the deals you're doing now are sort of incredible. Some of the numbers are mad. Big projects. What was the first deal you did? Was that quite a big project? Was it? What?
You know what? The very, 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 very first deal, it was in Birmingham, where me and a friend just JV'd, and we did like a rent to Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was literally on Broad Street, if you know it, and it's quite a lively street, got all the clubs and footfall down there. But I think I was quite stingy at the time. I didn't like kit it out to like the max, where you look at like these boutique HMOs and stuff. It didn't look like that, so it was me having the expectation, right, I'm going to get these like £100 a night bookings, but then like it didn't look like the part. So that deal didn't go too well, and I think I lost about £3,000 on it. Yeah. But then from that point on, I was like going through all the courses and stuff, and I found a couple of properties in Derby where it was just someone just did like a doer-upper, and then it was like a 2-bed terrace with a lounge and dining kitchen, and I just converted to a 3-bed HMO. I thought, you know what, I'm parking about $35,000 to buy the house with the deposit and fees, and then I can get it up and running within a month, which is exactly what we did, and that was cash flow like £600. So although there was $30,000 parted away, it's still cash flowing. And then I found another one which is also a 3-bed, but it was all ensuite. So again, that was about £600 net cash flow for that one.
Yeah.
And I knew in the meantime, I had these 2 other deals, which were 4 beds and a 3-bed semi. They were to be converted to a 6-bed HMOs, and they would take like 6 to 9 months. So
Yeah.
I thought, you know what, I have these 2 running side by side. There's 1,200 there cash flow, and then these other 2, when they're ready, they'll be about 1,500 cash flow each, so about $3,000 there. So it's sort of within a year we bought technically 4 properties and got them up and running. And like I said, you don't get paid instantly. So by the end of the year, I knew I'd have about four and $4,500 in cash flow.
And this was with that's amazing. And this was with all your own money. You hadn't had investors on board at this point.
I had one investor. So my first investor, he invested $100,000 at the time. And we just utilised the fund, and I had to kind of prove like, oh, I'm doing this with these 3 beds. I've got these 6 beds going on, and we didn't use development finance at the time. It was just all funded through investors and stuff. Refurbs were a lot cheaper back then, so it literally gained the confidence of one investor, and then the next investor I sort of planted a seed a year ago, and I said, look, I'm doing this, and then a year later, it's, how's that going? How's that business going? And then it just showed them the results, and right, here's another $100,000. Then it just kind of built from then on.
So you've raised, if I'm not wrong, maybe $3 million, something like that now from private investors. Up right?
As of Friday, probably like $5.5 million now.
Jesus,
yeah,
incredible, mate. That's mad. That's absolutely mad. So that first investor, then, what was the sort of mindset before that? Was it just a case of, okay, I've learned what I need to learn, let's go out and raise money? Or was there any mind blocks in there? Because I think you've got quite you have got a strong mindset. Was there any doubts, any thoughts?
I think there's always a shadow of a doubt, because at the time I didn't really know what I was doing. You have to try and like keep practicing your pitch in a way, and then it just becomes natural after a while. So yeah, the doubts were, have I got the right deals? Have I got enough experience to turn it around? And I think it just comes with confidence. The more you do, the more confident you become. You'll get setbacks along the way, but you have to have that strong mindset, like you said, to pick yourself back up and, right, this is a deal. And just be kind of transparent through the process.
Definitely. And where are you finding this, people? Is it reaching out to your new network, obviously from the property networks and stuff like that? Is it reaching out to them? Or
so I've been referred to a lot of business like clients, so not just in property. Got a few people that have sold businesses as well. So then it's sort of, they're the ones that are most stingy, if I'm honest. They've got millions, but they're like, I only want to invest like 100, 200. But as soon as you get their like confidence, one guy now, he's lent me $2.5 million now.
Wow.
So we've paid him back about $500,000 to date, and the rest are just like in different deals. But that was a relationship that I built back in the accountancy, because he came to us in 2010, 2011. So that was when I first started out, and we helped him restructure his business, and he's earned like millions, and he's now retired now, and it's sort of like gone full circle where like I play tennis with him as well, so like it's a good relationship where we've got business and we've got friendship, and he trusts what we do, and he comes up and he just uses what we're doing. So so confidence is one thing, and just kind of reaching out more. I'm using social media more to see how that pans out, because I think my stats are about 1.5 million off Facebook, just doing lives during COVID. Everyone was like at home watching videos, but now I'm going to see how Instagram kind of pans out to see if there's any opportunities there.
Definitely. It sounds like a lot of your way was like, not the old fashioned way, but the speaking to people, which you should be doing anyway, but a lot of people now talk about Facebook and Instagram of raising, but you sound like the past relationships, having a chat with them and stuff like that. That's interesting, mate. And obviously a lot of people listening, one of their biggest bottlenecks would be raising finance. Would have used raised millions now. Is there any advice that you would give for raising?
I'd probably say make sure you've got a business plan. I don't mean just write like a 10-page business plan. It's the mindset behind it, and the practices in place, and making sure that everything is kind of watertight to the penny of what you're spending, where is it going to come back, how is it going to cover the investment that you're proposing to your investor, and if that deal is going to leave money in, just be transparent and find the next solution. Like you said, you can have a trading business, and most of my clients do really well when they have a trading, like if they're sourcing or they're mentoring or they're coaching, they're making probably more money from that than the actual property itself. But that's not to kind of disregard like your property investment. It should run side by side, because with that trading business, it gives you that flexibility. You don't feel like you're always penny pinching and just like kind of always just cutting costs, because you'll be more willing to work with more experienced people to get deals over the line, and there'll be better efficiencies as well. So I think to those that probably want to kind of they're feeling like they're being bottlenecked with the Razor finance, it's just practicing. I think even if you select 10 random people off your phone book and just like start ringing them, and actually ring them with an outcome, because I mentioned previously there's a guy that I used to walk to school with, and then like it just bumped into randomly. But then we've had loads of those memories where we can connect to, like, we used to walk together, like kick a footy along the road to school and stuff. And when people connect to that emotionally, it's sort of like, right, I feel as though I trust you. But along with that, you've got to bring something to the table where, right, I can make you more money. What are you going to do with this money as well? I've asked some investors, and I've got a few that just buy cruise every year. So we pay them like $3,000 in interest, and then they just literally to go on a cruise holiday and stuff. So it's not just like, here's your money. It's like, what are you going to do with it? What memories are you going to build? And when you connect on that emotional level, it becomes more than just investing. It's people's livelihoods as well. So,
people will be thinking though, you've got your trading business. It's obviously quite a good business, and then you've got a portfolio which is, you're scaling. You maybe, I don't know how many you're doing at a time, but I know you were doing sort of 5, 6 at a time, sometimes maybe more. I don't know how many.
It's probably around 5 or 6 now.
That's a lot to manage. That is a lot to manage. You've got a trading business and 5 or 6. Like, I'm doing 2 at the moment, and my head's a bit like, Jesus Christ, this is like, can be a lot. So how do you manage it?
It's never perfect, I'll be honest. So the one project where I've been managing more myself is like literally above our offices. So we've got 3 flats on top, which we're pretty much finishing now. So that's a project where I've gone direct to the trades and just kind of done it in-house and bought the materials and just worked with the trades, because some trades will literally populate your basket and make your life easier and literally just pay. I was like, great, okay. And there's sometimes where you just got to literally go on site, measure stuff up, and it's easier if I'm on site already. Whereas others, I've always worked with builders, project managers, and although I pay a little bit more for that, like I said, it's the opportunity cost of how do I value my time. If I know I'm going to pay someone 10 grand, how can I convert that time, which a project will take 9 months? How can I convert that 9-month timescale to make more than 10 grand to pay them their fee? So then it doesn't always rely on just the deal itself. It's like I could source 2 deals and that's 10 grand, like something like that. So it's that mindset of like, how can I like better myself to make more money? And if you can leverage with different teams, like we've got about 3 or 4 different builders. Some they've come and gone. They've either outgrown us or they've just literally gone bust. So you kind of have those like problems that you've got to deal with at that certain time. But once you get good builders, or project managers, you just kind of stick with it and don't throw too much in their basket, because they'll lose control.
I think that's a common trait amongst people like yourself who are, high level achievers and doing so much, is that you see things as in not a cost but in value, whereas I'm still in that minge bag stage of thinking like, oh, this is a cost, when really I should just get a project manager in and deal with other things that are going to actually make you more money. Is there any other traits that you have like that you say would able you to scale the way you're scaling, if that makes sense?
Management of time, I think.
I'm poor at that. How can I get better at that?
So if you can afford a PA, great. But PAs can come in different shapes and sizes. Like you can hire someone virtually. But if you don't stick to what they put in your diary, then you're back to square one again. So I think it's that discipline, really. There's the 4-week year book where like they talk about time blocking. So it's blocking out your buffer tasks, which could be just looking at emails every day. Like I've been there where I'm literally living off emails, whereas one comes in, I'm answering that, another one comes in, answering that, and then like before you know, at the end of the day, so it's blocking that 1 hour period to deal with emails that are urgent, but then have a priority buffer. So like I have about 2-3 hours just kind of bogged down, and these are normally tasks that I put down at the start of the day, like what are the 3 most important priority tasks I need to get out of the day. So it kind of starts with that, and then you'll have a bit of slack because you'll be like, having lunch or breakfast, or
Yeah,
for me it'd be sometimes dropping the kids off at nursery, and so it's kind of trying to utilize that time to think a bit and just kind of calm yourself, self-awareness, because when you're in the present, so this is like the woo-woo stuff where like when you're in the present, you do kind of cancel all the noise. But when you're constantly like answering someone's like, oh, can you do this, Sean? Oh, can you show me how to this? And then like you just get lost, and that could be, like you said, your builders like calling you about something really stupid, like, oh, this door's not measuring to this. And that's where you're like, well, I don't have a project manager to deal with this kind of stuff, because that just takes so much energy out of you as well. That's another thing I've not mentioned before. Like energy is like so important, because when you're lethargic and you've not had enough sleep, you're not going to be able to do anything.
I've heard you talk about that a lot on a few podcasts I've seen you on, talking about having time to think, and it's something that I'm trying to allow myself time to do. Because your mind can just be cluttered with crap, can't it? With just like you say, a builder brings you, oh, there's a leak, and it's like, why am I not in a? You should be. Why am I dealing with it in a way? There should be a project manager there dealing with that. But even there's a I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix. There's a documentary about Bill Gates, and he has like a think week. I can't think what's it called? Inside Bill's Brain, I think it's called. And every week he has a week where he just literally flies out to the middle of nowhere, no phones, and just has a think week. And literally, again, it sounds woo-woo, but he just writing his goals down, understanding what he needs to do. And I'm trying to allow myself a bit more time, but I'm still struggling to do it. But it's just discipline, isn't it?
Yeah,
blocking out time for your diary and stuff like that. But I've heard you speak about that before, and I wanted to chat to you about it because I thought it was really interesting. And I think high achievers they have stuff in the diary blocked out, and like a PA and stuff like that. It may be 18, 20, 25 grand a year, but it's worth it if it allows all that free time.
And then again, that goes back to your trading business. So like, if you can feed another business for that person's wage, that staff overhead, then it doesn't become like a burden anymore, because you've got a business to run. And that only stems off what you're passionate about. I'm not saying everyone should be an accountant or like just do a sourcing business or coaching business. You've got to know what you're doing for one thing, but you've got to be passionate about it. Otherwise, you just take up another burden for yourself, because you just feel like you're going to a job again. But yeah, absolutely. The more people you work with, the less stress you will have, because I've like literally only 2 months ago where all the staff decided to go on holiday. Like, I've had weird periods where like, I'm just going to go away for like 3 weeks, and then like when everyone goes away, you're kind of like, oh crap, I feel like I'm wearing every hat again. So that that mindset of like not having someone to support you is something that I wouldn't go for anymore, because like if I have an extra person, I know that's a 30 grand wage, for example, but right, I need to find at least 2x of that, like 60 grand worth of recurring turnover or income to support that. So it also drives me to find more business and find more deals to sustain it. So, and
which is what you should be doing anyway, shouldn't it? It's getting out of that headspace of being in the work. It should be, that's what your job should be, isn't it? To find a business, etc., etc. But back to property then. What is your favourite deal you've ever done? I have heard you speak about a couple, but I know you're doing a lot at the moment, so it might be a newer one.
You know what? I completed on a 18-bed HMO on Friday.
Fucking hell, Sean.
It's literally down the road from my office, and it's an award-winning HMO. So they won like Property Investors Awards in, I think, 2018 or something like that. So it's on 3 floors at the moment. It's got the urban lofts, 6 beds on each floor, and for some reason at the time they didn't go for the 4th floor, which is it also has planning for 6 bedrooms. So I've gone in straight to planning. Right, we're going to build this. They valued it based on commercial, but not as high as a commercial valuation. So I managed to find a bit of like a wiggle room where I can buy it for X amount, but if I get these done to a high standard, refresh them, I can get higher rents in. With the higher rents, I'll get a commercial valuation on the building. So we bought it for like 1.26 million. And the end valuation after all 24 rooms are let at about £180 per week, £165 a week, we should get it about 2.12 million.
Wow.
GDV, and our bill costs about 150, 165k. It's already rented out to students now for the next semester, so we've got income coming in to cover the bridge. So
incredible.
A lot of deals, it's the financing cost that kills the deal. Either the investor or the bridging. But with this one, it's being a bit more creative, where we've got recurring income from day one that's going to cover that kind of margin. And I'm not saying like you make more money out of the deal, but you save more money to invest into the deal more, to bring more sustainability and just make it better, really, make it last.
Yeah.
So yeah, really excited. Literally picked up the keys on Friday. No, yesterday actually. Yeah.
Nice,
so
mate.
completed Friday, picked up the keys yesterday. Waiting for the planning because we had to go back in again, but hopefully by September we should get the planning and just kick straight off.
So will people? I imagine. How does that work then? So you're putting another floor on, is that right?
Yeah.
And is everyone out the building because it's summer, or is it a case of just is it fine to do?
The initial plan was to try and complete before summer.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That's out the window because we had a few delays.
Yeah.
No, so what we're going to do is we've got two options. Technically, there's 10 out of 18 filled. So we could keep the floor that's directly below empty, so you're not disturbing those tenants. Or if we kind of offer like a reduced rent and say like, right, by the way, works are going to go on, we shouldn't be disturbing too much because we've got a lot of car park access. So we're going to put a tower scaffold on the outside, so builders will be entering the top from the outside. Once the superstructure's on, obviously watertight, it is really just knocking through the pipes and the electrics through the floor. So that's probably where we're going to get a bit of a disturbance. But we've got a program in place where we're going to keep it to a minimal. And like I said, once you've connected up, it's probably like a couple of weeks worth of work. You shouldn't really interfere with the residents down below too much.
Yeah.
And that's how I planned it, where I could empty the whole building, but then I'll have no rent. So,
Yeah.
so if I can get reduced rent, then at least
Still got
there's
that
that
income.
halfway point.
Yeah.
We'll throw in some goodies and stuff for the tenants and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of students, they are obviously full-time students, but they're not always at uni, so they'll probably be maybe back at home or stuff like that. So we'll work with tenants, and I think that's how we're going to go about it.
And how long have you got that planned in to sort of take you?
So I'd probably say it would need to take about 6 months, but the refinance might take 3. So back to your normal 9-month process, really. So I literally completed Friday, so that's what we're in July now, aren't we? Yeah, it's July. So by March next year, we should be done and dusted. And April's when people go back to Easter anyway, so we'll have that wiggle room to.
You've obviously done the say smaller projects, and now you're doing ones like this. What are the key differences in between them smaller and them obviously ones like 18?
So the thing is, like, a lot of people say big projects, like you hear 20 or 18, but I just see them as 3 lots of the smaller projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're still 6-bed HMOs. It's just 4 lots of them that we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and for me, like, I want to be efficient. I don't want to be like doing one project and wait 6 months later to do another project. So if I can do more in the same space of time, yes, it means a bit more money to cash flow the job, but then again, it's that mindset of resilience of like, I need to find the investor to cash flow this for the next 6 months. And the quicker it's built, the less frustrations are going to have. And it doesn't come day one. It has been kind of like confidence and making sure that I've got financial backing. Because if I'm only straddling off like 100k part, I'm not going to be doing stuff like this. Yeah. And over time, it's just building those relationships. Yeah.
Interesting, mate. And I know I heard you speaking on Justin's podcast and Ray's, who are here later on today, talking about the refinance you did with, I think it was 10 houses, is that right? And it was 880.
Yeah, 888.
How did that feel when that dropped in your bank? That must have been a bit of a...
it did feel real to start off with. Yeah, like, it was quite sad. Like, I think a couple of nights in, I just went on my online banking when I was like in bed. I was like, okay, it's still there. I didn't even touch it for a week. It just stayed at the bank. And then obviously the whole process of doing it was to utilize the money. We had a site where we wanted to get it unencumbered and basically use it as like a bank. Yeah. So we paid that off. It was like 300 grand. And then we still had about 500,000. I think there was one investor we had to pay about 100 grand. And then the rest was like, right, I've got 400 grand here. How can I utilize this to build more properties? So we bought 2 more properties with another JV. So I only had to put half the funds in. And it's like, okay, we've still got a bit of cash flow here. So it sort of felt as though like, yes, I've got it, but it also pushed me because like, it's costing me money to have it. I mean, the interest rate, I agreed, was 6.78%. So I came off 4.5% rates to 6.7. Everyone was probably like, are you mad? Like, why? Yeah. Everyone's not taking mortgages because the mortgage rates went up. But then my mindset was, it's going to go up eventually anyways. If I
Yeah.
wait 10 or 20 years down the line, I'm going to refinance anyways, because
Yeah.
that's sort of the model.
Yeah.
If you don't refinance, you're either going to sell to pay down the debt.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I've got a portfolio to build. Obviously, I've got sites I need to cash flow, so let's just do it.
You talk about strategy quite a lot as well. So you obviously had a strategy behind that. You had a plan to. Did you have obviously you had a plan in place, getting that money, and
Yeah.
you were going to distribute it into certain
Correct. Yeah.
certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually lent money out as well, so we lent 200 grand out, and we're only 20% on that. So I might never see that 200 grand again, but at least that's my money to play with.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I think
I heard you talking about that because you said about you wanted it potentially, and it is a lovely position to be in to be the
do be the investor.
yeah
Yeah.
exactly. It is good money in it. Once you've got that money, it's
Like one of my investors, he's making £1 million a year just lending money.
that's mad.
And that's not even lending to, like, say, us as property investors. He's got like this platform where he's investing in any bank he wants in the world, sort of Flagstone. And he's earning like 200 grand just from like money sat there.
That's
And
mad,
they're only at like your 5.8s, and some are like gilts and bonds and stuff. So obviously when government wants to borrow money, there's going to be a decent rate against it.
Yeah.
So he's just making money off that. And I think if I can get into that position, that inspires me, right? It's less risky.
It truly is passive, isn't it?
It's truly passive. That's the only passive thing I can think of.
Yeah.
And although the rates are lower, it just means you've got to build a big enough pot to make it sizable to excite you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's funny, man. It's good and incredible. But one thing I did want to speak about that you just touched on was the unencumbered property, because I've been looking into that recently, and I'm thinking I've got the cash there to buy something, do a buy it, leave it unencumbered, and use it as like a bank. Obviously, there's only so much. If it's a certain price, obviously, there's only so much you can do. But do you think that's quite important to do? If you can do it.
I think for me, at that moment in time, it made sense. But once that project's finished, it wouldn't make sense because I'd need the long-term loan on it to pull the funds to pay for the whole project. So that's how I was literally just sitting there, because we've got other like planning issues and party wall issues, and I thought, you know what, we've got a high bridge on it, let's get rid of it. And even if I get like a investor like 6%, 8%, then I can leverage that money out to.
I see. So you wouldn't keep a house there unencumbered and just use it as a
unless it's cash flow.
Yeah.
Because I think that site is literally just a piece of land. So.
Oh, I see.
Whereas if it was, for example, a house that is cash flowing and you are comfortable enough to just kind of leave 300 grand pretty much unencumbered, then like I said, if you pull the lender off, then you could, as long as you utilise the funds to build more cash flow and to have a plan to pay it back, then it will make sense.
Yeah.
Because some investors prefer security, so it might not be like if you bought like a 100 grand house and that's not enough security for what they want, they're like, well, we've got a 300 grand house here, then can you lend us 70% of that? And at least that allows you to pull funds to pay for the house and do the development work as well.
Yeah.
And in the grand scheme of things, it will work out cheaper in development finance.
Yeah.
Because nowadays like 15 to 18% by the time you add all your in and out fees and recurring costs.
Yeah. So for people listening then, what is the difference between bridging and development?
So bridge tends to mean just you buy the house on a short-term, short-term loan, but the development is 100% development funds as well as the purchase of the property.
Of course, yeah.
But they'll always look at the end value, the GDV, to work out if you're going to have enough funds to pay them back plus interest.
I see.
So if in the case where you don't, then they'll just lend you less on the bridging bit, which means you've got to put more deposit into it. So it's all sliding scales, and as long as you don't default, it tends to work out.
Definitely. So for the rest of this year then, what have you got going on? Obviously you've got this big one. Are you looking at taking any more on, or?
So yeah, I've got a few. So I've agreed to buy a portfolio. So there's 9 houses in Derby. A landlord that I know really well, and he was actually one of the first guys that got me into property in Derby.
Oh yeah.
I rang his for sale, not for sale, it was like to let board. I was like, do you sell houses? And he was like, did you just come off a course? Just like, so he gave me the time and day. We sat in the Costa Coffee, and since then circumstances changed for themselves, and they're like, right, they live a bit further out from Derby, and I thought, well, here's an opportunity where I could take on a portfolio it'll be money invested because it's not an all money out deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But it will expand our team because we've got a good lettings team in Derby who self-manage our portfolio.
Yeah.
And it just adds more to the pot.
Yeah.
So through like a lifespan of, let's say, 20 years, it's going to pay itself massive dividends. And we've got Article 4 coming in next year as well. So if I'm buying it now with the increased values, maybe not straight away next year, but a year later, I could potentially pull enough funds back to minimise the amount of money that I've got in that one. So that's 9 houses is about 2.7 million purchase, I think it was, something like that.
Incredible, mate.
But I think I can push it to about 3.5. And there's also opportunity where they've got planning on some land at the back of a property to build as well for another 6-bed HMO. So that adds about 50 units in total.
Wow.
And then I've viewed another site last Tuesday. It's like an old furniture shop, which I think you can get about 25 or 31 units out of it. Talked on another podcast. We've got a piece of land where we're building 14 apartments, which will be 44 units next to a university. And another opportunity came up as well, which is kind of like early days where the architect's working with a university on a piece of land and they can potentially get 200 units on there. But the university wants a developer and a build team to fund and build it, and they'll put like a long lease on it.
Wow.
So like a 20-odd year lease with the uni, guaranteed rent. And that's where the opportunity is not obviously just that guaranteed rent. It's sellable to like a fund, like a pension fund. So their yields are like crazy. I think they're like 5.5 to like 4%, 4.5 yields. And compared to like you refinancing like a 10.5, 11%, that's a massive gap. And that turns like a £5 million deal to like a £30 million deal. And I think stuff like that excites me because I've got good teams I'm working with now. And it's like, right, if I can put 2 and 2 together, it's not necessarily stressing about how I'm going to fund this project. It's the opportunities it's going to create. And there's like a few bigger sites which we've got next to uni. If we can build a trust here, I could always do long leases on the other sites as well. Yeah. So again, with the bigger stuff, it lends itself massive opportunities because a university's not going to want to rent your 6-bed house. So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, incredible, mate. It seems like you're a seeker of opportunity. I heard that come out your mouth a few times. And I think it keeps me going. Yeah. There are days where I'm like, what am I doing this for? Because like I'm just creating more stress for myself. Or like I didn't have any grey hairs probably like 5 years ago, but it all becomes worth it where you're confident with financial backing, confident the deal's going to work out, and you enjoy working with a team that's going to make it happen. Yeah. And we've got a really good team that we're working with to get that's
this
what
done.
It's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you said, it comes back to remember why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's that. But Sean, I've had a great time chatting to you. It really made me think and think about certain things that I need to be doing. But I really appreciate you coming on. If anyone's looking to connect or anything like that, where is best to find you?
So I am building my Insta up. So if you want to look at Sean C Property, I'm on Facebook every now and then now as well. So and if you want to kind of like deep down dive into like accounts and stuff, I'm happy to like share an email and stuff and get our team on it.
Brilliant. I'll put all that in the show notes if you drop me a text for it on. But I appreciate you coming on and thank you for making the journey here.
No problem, mate. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.